folks here tonight present having business before this commission, draw nigh, come forward, and ye shall be heard. God bless this great United States and the state of Tennessee. God bless Putnam County and this honorable commission. Mr. Chairman, I find these premises to be in order, and I yield to the chair.
Thanks so much, Major. We appreciate you every month being with us, so thanks again. We're going to recognize District 7 for our invocation as well as for our pledge.
District 7 is asking Mr. Wayne Neighbors to do our invocation for us, please.
Thank you, guys. I'm very honored tonight. Let's pray. Hey, Father, we thank you for your love and your blessings. We just thank you tonight for just who you are, and we give you thanks. Lord, we thank you for these folks who serve every day, the wonderful constituents of Putnam County. I ask you for just your blessing and your wisdom on them tonight. Thank you, Father, that we live in America where we can come together tonight and enjoy freedom to do what we do and say what we needs to be said without fear. Lord, I do pray for all of our folks tonight, all across everywhere in any kind of situation. Thank you, Father, for Psalms 91 protection over those who just need protecting tonight, and cover them with your hand. Lord, we give you thanks, we give you praise. You're faithful, and we are grateful, and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. You know, we've been congratulating. Before we move on, I'd like to congratulate one more. One of our own, Teresa Tays. Congratulations, has completed the County Administrative Professional course. So thank you very much for your interest in our county and for your work on this. So let's give her a hand. Congratulations, Teresa. All right. Item number 5 is
We better do roll call, haven't we? All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you take your handsets and press yes, everyone press yes, and it will stop you right there. All right, Mr. Chairman, you have 22 present, 2 absent. There is a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Item number 5 now is the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. That motion carries. Item number 7 is unfinished business and action thereon. Any unfinished business? Seeing none, item A is report of the standing committees, planning,
No unfinished business.
physical review,
No unfinished business.
and nominating.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, chairs. Item B on that is report of special committees, and we're going to hear from the Bus Garage County Maintenance Facility Committee.
Why would you switch us back, please?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the Bus Garage County Maintenance Facility Committee has been meeting several times over the past, I guess, year or a little longer, working on plans for a new facility down on Tennessee Avenue. We've got pretty close to the final draft of the plans and looking to get your permission to move forward with the bidding and the construction of the facility. As I said, it's about 35 acres on Tennessee Avenue. It's on the east side, across from where the fairgrounds is, the new expo center and stuff will be located. You have a set of drawings that I handed out to you tonight. We are looking, at somewhere around the next couple of months to get the bids package out for the dirt work and everything to start on the facility. You can see that, let me see if I can bring up the drawings a little better. You've got the one in front of you. The property lays along the east side of Tennessee Avenue. As I said, we put the county highway and county maintenance facility on the back, the school bus garage and the parking, everything up towards the front. Our fueling depot is towards the middle, and then we left, there's about, 8 to 10, 11 acres there that is available for future, whatever we might need, whether it's county facilities, or if you wanted to, bring a project or something in, there's enough land left to do 2 separate projects there in the rest of the property. There's also drawings of the buildings. This is the bus garage. Kim and Ron and all her folks worked hard with the architects of trying to get a facility that would carry them through many years to come. Kim, I think you've been in your current location for at least 40 years, haven't you?
Probably, longer than
Maybe even
that. I've
50.
been there 35, so I'd say at least probably 50.
They're in an old school, portable schoolroom
Portable classroom.
out there now. It's difficult to see how they make it like it is where they're at, but we've got plenty of garage space for the buses to be worked on, their offices, and then they have a area that not only they can use, but the other county departments can use as a training facility, meeting type facility. We're short on meeting space as it is, and so this will be a good addition with a lot of parking to that area. Then you've got the county highway department and the maintenance. Each one of them have 8 bays with a share lobby, office space, break rooms, restrooms, and everything in the center of the building. The good thing about both these facilities is on the ends, there's enough room to be able to expand those facilities somewhere down the line, should it be needed. There's been a lot of work put into the drawings to get them to this point so far. What we're looking for tonight is we have about $2 million in the capital projects budget that we put at the beginning of the year to start the facility. What we'd like to do is to move the $2 million that we're getting from the sale of the Shoney's Hill property into capital projects for us to be able to go ahead and bid and build the building. But in the end, the goal would be is that the property that they sit on currently, probably valued at around $3 million now, is that when we sell that go back to this other $2 million, and that $5 million build the whole facility, and it'd be done at no cost to the taxpayers by using those funds from the sale of that land. So we probably have to move some money back into county general fund balance from the sale of that in the end, but we might use some of that money to get going until we do sell the property, because they have to have the building built and be moved into it before we can sell the property that's there on Jefferson. Very difficult to get out of. Kim, you got what, 88 buses now?
Yeah.
And so trying to get in and out of that facility with the buses and the county highway department trucks and everything is a nightmare for them. So this is going to get them down on the highway where that we're planning on putting in a controlled red light entrance that would go into the fairgrounds and expo center and come into this facility both, so they'd be able to get in and out easy. Any questions I'll try to answer. Okay.
So this will hold a total of 100 bus drivers parked, it'll park 100 buses.
It will park 100 buses, and then you have, Commissioner Tays, you have just to the west of that where you see the bus driver training area.
Yeah.
That's all gonna be a paid parking lot that you could have parking there too if they needed it while they're not, doing training with the buses. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bennett.
I assume that Randy Jones and head of vehicle maintenance are both happy with the drawings.
We're still tweaking. He worked with the school bus, with Kim and them first. This is probably the second or third draft of the highway department and the maintenance. We may do a little more tweaking with it, over the next couple of weeks, but yeah, we're getting real close.
So they've been real involved, and you're getting close there.
Yep.
Well, having said that, I'd like to make a motion. Again, when we started down this journey on moving these two items, the school bus and the county highway, we were trying to sell the land and build new facilities with the sale of that property with no extra tax money. So we're looking at about $5 million, and I think that's doable. So, having said that, my motion is to approve moving forward with the school, bus, county highway, county maintenance facility on Tennessee Avenue to include the bidding and construction. Moving the $2 million from the sale of Shawnee's Hill property into capital projects to help pay for the construction, with any additional funding needed coming from the sale of the existing property where the school bus garage and the county highway department are currently located. And I would like to put a cap on that at $5 million because we think that's what we're gonna get when both properties are completed the sale.
Second.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second. I'm gonna make sure we understand the motion. Mr. Bennett has motioned that we, move forward with the bus garage and maintenance, construction. We moved $2 million from the sale of the Shawnee's property, which, has it closed, Mayor? If not, it's supposed to in the next day or two.
It's coming up real soon. We're just working out some easements and stuff with the city for the water tank, but we're getting real close.
And that's $2 million. So we've already invested $2 million. And so that's $4 million. And his motion also included, that we, utilize the funds that will be, collected from the sale of the existing bus garage as well as the maintenance building, which at this point is estimated to be about $3 million, with a cap, obviously, of $5 million, which means only $1 million of that $3 million would be utilized according to your motion. Would that be right?
That's correct.
Okay. So I look around and I ask, does anybody have any questions about what this motion is? Yes, sir. Mr. Moss.
Mr. Chairman, it's probably not to do with emotion, but it's a concern that if you've been down Tennessee Avenue with the construction that's going on, I'd like somebody to be aware of this new road that we're gonna be using there for construction. Tennessee Avenue is a mess right now, and you can lose a car in some of those holes. I'd like somebody to be aware of what's going on over there and be aware when we start this construction, because that's a new road we're tearing up.
I've already, met with the city about the portion that you're talking about where FedEx and the concrete company is. They're looking at widening that and expanding that road all the way down to Bob Gentry Road, and, they're looking at doing that pretty soon. So yeah, it's a mess right now, and I made the city manager and everybody's aware of that already.
I didn't know what the proper time was to make this comment. I have no problems with the motion that Mr. Bennett made. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or discussion about the motion? Is anybody who does not understand the motion? Okay, Mr. Joe.
$2 million additional goes back where, to general fund then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, we're taking $2 million from the sale, put it in capital projects. Are we gonna be able to move forward at that point? Are we gonna draw out the $3 million from general fund and then repay that later?
If we need to, we'll see what the bids come, how they come in.
Okay.
We've got $2 million there already. We'll put in $2 million, which makes $4 million. We've got a fund balance in capital projects, so if I don't need it, we'll just use fund balance out of capital projects and then put it back in once the property sells. If not, we can do a budget amendment to move out of county general fund balance, whatever we need, and then put the money back in it.
I just wanna make sure that's included in your, okay, good.
Good questions. Anybody else have a question? Everybody clear on the motion? Mr. Clerk.
All right, Mr. Ben, I will need a copy of that, please, sir, before we leave tonight. Give that to me, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, if you take your handsets, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote.
It's not up.
I know. All right, let's continue. All right, if you take your hands, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote, and it will automatically stop you right there. Mr. Martin. There we go. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 2 absent, 0 no. Motion carries.
Motion, pat yourselves on the back, give yourselves a hand. That's a good thing for this county. Way to step out and into things that make major improvements. So I commend this commission for their efforts in this regard. Attaboy. All right, moving along. Any other unfinished business? Move on to new business and action thereon. We're going to have a report of standing committees, beginning with planning.
Yes, sir. All right, first on the agenda for planning is recommend approval for the following vehicle to be sold via internet auction. It's a 2005 Chevrolet Tahoe, and I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next up, we recommend the approval of the list of vehicles and equipment to be sold via internet public auction for the Sheriff's Department, and you have a list in front of you, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the sale of these pieces? Favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
That concludes planning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fiscal review.
Item A, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of budget amendments to the County General Fund, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on County General? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, seeing none, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, you're doing great. Mr. Chairman, we have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent when the roll is called. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Item B, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of budget amendments to the General Purpose School Fund, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second on General Purpose School. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk.
All right, seeing none, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent when the roll was called. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item C, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of the sale of Lot D, 19.32 acres in the Highlands Business Park to Project Husky for $22,500 per acre, and to give the county mayor the authority to sign all documents related to this agreement/sale, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Once again, Mr. Wayne Neighbors.
All right. If you're in favor of the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Doing great. You're on a roll. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent when the roll is called. That motion carries.
Item D, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of the request from the Election Commission for election worker pay increases, and I so move.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to recuse myself from this vote as my wife works for during the elections.
Very good. We do have a motion and a second. Okay. Mr. Donadio wishes to abstain, which he will do so on his handset once the vote starts. So, Mr. Neighbors?
Mr. Joe's got a
I'm sorry, Mr. Awalo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I am sorry, I forgot to ask, what additional funding will this add to the existing budget? You know, adding all these different, increases?
Mayor Michelle's still here. She's right there.
Yeah.
She's hiding back there.
She's hiding.
She moved on me.
She got run out.
Each election is a little bit different. May is our slowest election. That's gonna be about 14,000 or 14,500 more. Our Novembers are the biggest, especially presidential, and we try to get as many workers as we can. It's close to 250. That's gonna be about 21,000. So August is gonna be in between there.
So it is budget, you'll have enough budget money, or you're gonna have to move around for it?
We believe we have enough for the May right now, since it's just about 14.5. But now my budget for next year will go up. But I don't believe they've had a raise since 2010. I was figuring out some of the time, you think 9 to 7, it's not a big day. Most of our precincts get there at 7, 2 hours early. And by the time that officer brings everything back in our office, it's 9 or a little after. So it's a long day. And when you take what they make and divide it by the hours, some of them are making $7.14 an hour. So, and we are really struggling getting enough workers. We don't have enough for May right now.
But we thank you for what you do. Thank you.
I enjoy it, but it's hard to get people. So if you know anyone that wants to work, please tell them. As long as they're not in your district, and related to you.
Mr. Neal?
Uh-oh.
Mr. Neal?
Yeah, I just want to say that, we know how important elections are, integrity of elections and so forth. We've seen that happen. We've seen a lot of question marks in the past few years about some things. And, I think that this is probably needed very much so to make sure that we continue to have the best people that's working these elections. We all know what it's like when we're out there campaigning and we're down there at the polling stations all day. We know how many hours they put in, so I think I just want to be on record of saying that I think this is probably a very good move, a good cause.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. So that we're clear, Mr. Mayor, we've approved to give them this raise, which means that if they do go over budget, that will be taken out of county, out of the general funds. Does everybody understand that? So, not sure that there is enough to do it, but this vote gives them the authority for us to pay them. Everybody understand that? All right, Mr. Neighbors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, check your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere?
Why would Miss Adams abstain?
Because he has a small interest there. Mr. Chairman, we have 20 voting yes, 0 no, 0 absent, 2 abstain. Motion carries.
Item E, which was an addition from our committee meeting earlier, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of the county to apply for a Cdbg grant, which would potentially help build or add to daycares, and I so move.
Second.
We got a motion and a second on filing for the grant. Any discussion?
And to clarify, that is a zero match grant. That doesn't cost the county anything.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries, and as I try to do, if there's a crowd like this, I always try to explain why we sometimes vote with a machine and sometimes by voice. So anytime there is money appropriated or spent by the county, it must go through a roll call vote. So everybody has designated how they stood on that particular motion. So as you saw, planning doesn't require one, and the last item on physical review today did not require. There was no money spent. So just for the audience and for information.
That completes fiscal review, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and they're nominating?
No, nothing from nominating.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, report of special committees. Any reports? Resolutions?
No resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Election of notaries.
Here we go. Tracy Buchanan, Charlotte Campbell, Michelle Carlton, Anthony Delk, Stephen B. Garrett, Kelly Garrison, Christy Harris, Debbie Herron, Brittany Hessen, Brenda Hill, Jenny Holmes, Justin R. Jones, Angela Leathers, Allison Taylor Lee, Louisa Levron, Amelia Lohorn, Matthew J. Means, Charlotte Murphy, Amelia A. Phillips, Christina Randolph, Amelia Rich, Brittany Temples, Sherry Vasquez, and Catherine M. Warren.
Motion is second. Any discussion on the notaries? This one again, we have to roll call vote. So, Mr. Neighbors, please do so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do because this is an officer. Do you take your handsets and just press yes for me, please? That would be great. All right. Mr. Chair, of 22 voting yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you all so much.
Item E is other new business, and the first item is here from the city of Monterey. I didn't get anybody on the sheet, so Mr. Mayor, are you addressing that?
I am, but, we have the engineer.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Nathan Walker from Monterey is gonna be here tonight. I don't think Nathan,
He was here, but they've got a special call meeting, and he had to step out just a few minutes ago.
they're appointing a mayor tonight, so he need to be at that meeting, so she's gonna speak on behalf of Monterey.
If you will, please, ma'am, identify yourself and your position, please, so we'll have that for our minutes.
Okay, my name is Zeta Hillis, and I work...
And use the mic, please, because that's where it's gonna be. Thank you.
And repeat your name again.
Zeta, Z-E-D-A,
Zeta.
Hillis, and I work with James C. Haley Engineering. For the record, I am not a PE, I'm not an engineer.
All right.
Just making sure. Don't want any clarification. Thank you,
You're
Chairman and Mayor Porter and the board for allowing us to speak. What we're doing here tonight is we're here representing the town of Monterey, and Mr. Walker had to leave a little bit early to get back to their meeting. But we are requesting some of the ARP TDEC funding. We have a proposal presented and put together that what the town would like to have is a trailer-mounted sludge disposal equipment. This would actually be utilized at both the water and the wastewater treatment plant. I'm too close to the mic.
No, you're fine.
We have a breakdown in the cost over on the side. The total request that we're requesting from the county is gonna be the $565,000 in order to completely purchase this equipment. We just sent a diagram here included that kinda tells you what it does. It's a portable piece of equipment. It can be used at both. Right now, currently, they have two different processes at the plant. They're both antiquated and outdated, and they need to update the facilities and the equipment that they have. This equipment will take the dewatering and stuff down from what they currently have to almost 2 to 3 times less than what they have. They're doing a land application. I think there've been some questions on what they're doing now. They process their sludge, they'll store it, and then they do a land apply. This is gonna reduce the quantities by, quite a bit. I don't want to say an exact number, but I think they're hauling several loads a week now, and this will reduce that. With the rainy seasons and the rain, and then the having land available, that's becoming an issue, I think, in the future. Everyone's going to have to start looking at different processes for that, so this will alleviate those situations. We'll have a reduction in operation cost, increased water efficiency, replaces the existing and outdated infrastructure. And I have a kind of a lengthy little itemization if you'd like me to read this to you. I don't know how you're doing on time.
Do you have handouts or?
Is it included in their packet? Yes, the presentation that I gave included in the packet, and it has the budget broken down in there also.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
I do. If you will, utilize your handsets because I can see it over here on Wayne's and I've already got somebody up. So, Mr. Neal, you were first.
What I would like to say is, we've tried to help Allgood, we've tried to help Baxter, and we have used the TDEC money for this. Based on what we have already done, I would like to make a motion that we fund this through the TDEC only money, and Monterey must provide for the match, whatever that may be.
Yes, sir, we've already got confirmation from them.
I think that's fair based on what we've done already, so that would be my motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll continue discussion. My next, if it's toward the motion, Mr. Waddle, you were reckoned. Yes, sir?
What is the match?
It would be 15% currently
15%?
of the, yes.
Just a quick question. From PO issuance until receiving it, what is the duration of time?
Sir, I'm not real sure on that. We're having such a delay with equipment and materials costs, I would hate to say. I know it's something that they've needed for a long time. We'd initially wanted to include it in when we did the new wastewater treatment bid. Those bids came in high, so we had to pull that out. We had it as an ad alternate, so we pulled this equipment out in hopes to be able to, it's on their capital improvements list, so.
And the only reason why I ask that, because a lot of times when you issue, and you lock in that price, because if there's a long duration of time.
Definitely, we can do that. Once we place the order, they'll confirm that price.
Use your mics, if you will, please. We're trying to get everybody on.
We're recording, so get close to your mics, guys.
Mr. Wilson?
You mentioned this was a mobile unit?
Yes.
Okay, do you know the life expectancy of this unit?
Probably the depreciation on something this large is gonna be probably at least a minimum of 20 years.
Okay.
If it's taken care of and they're gonna be using it at both facilities, easily moved both at water and wastewater.
And I assume that the city's gonna be budgeting for that replacement in 20 years?
Yes, it'll be added to their depreciation list.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Yes, along the same lines there, what was the original cost that was a more permanent or a site-built?
Sir, I don't have that information with me. I'm sorry, I do not know. It came in as an ad alternate in the bid.
Okay.
And, that was several months ago, and I don't recall. I know we took it out, but I don't have that, I didn't bring that with me.
Okay, I
can
guess
get that to you.
Well, that's neither here nor there. The request is the request, and that's kind of the end of our purview. I just, I didn't want anyone to, for lack of a better term, to cheap out and go with something.
No, this is actually a good piece of equipment that can be utilized at both facilities rather than just having one at the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
And that is the reason the town decided to go this route.
Okay.
That way, they're not having to buy two, one for each location. This actually can be used at the old wastewater treatment plant that they're currently using now, the new one, and the water treatment plant.
I guess in my mind, I'm thinking about the durability of a portable unit versus something that's site-built and permanent.
That's what it's built for. They're not just putting it on a trailer. It's actually built for that.
Ms. Tays?
This will desperately.
Use your mic, please.
Monterey desperately needs it.
Yes, ma'am, yes. This is the
This will
first
help
item on
them.
their capital improvements projects list.
Yes, it will help them tremendously.
Yes,
with it.
ma'am.
Any other questions, any other comments? Have a motion and second. So, Mr. Neighbors, I believe, you will need a roll call.
We'll have to do that, yes, sir. All right, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. And
Hold
it
on,
will-
Mr. Wayne, I'm sorry, I did not make sure everybody understood what they were voting on, so we still have time to reverse that. Is anybody confused about what the motion is? Mr. Neal? Okay, so everybody's clear, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Neighbors, thank you.
Hang on. We're screen flopping tonight, so. Nobody ain't watching. All right. Everything is still the same. If you have voted, you're fine. So go ahead, if you haven't voted, go ahead and take your handset and vote. That should lock everybody in. Good, all right. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change your vote anywhere? Excellent. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Neighbors. Item 2 is to ratify the county mayor's appointments to the Regional Solid Waste. You have those names, Mr. Mayor.
I do. Commissioner Kathy Reel and Commissioner Joel Wamison.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second on ratification of the appointments. Any discussion? Favor the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. That motion carries. Acknowledgement of the physical strength and efficient government physical confirmation letter. Now, that's a big one. Somebody help. For the 3-star program requirements. Requires no action but needs to be incorporated into the minutes. Any comments, Mayor, as it relates to that? All right. Item number 4 is to hear from the City of Cookeville Water Department. And if you will, Ronnie, please again state your name and your position for our minutes, please, sir. Oh.
Man. I pushed the button.
I don't see that Zoom and froze up. Don't see the mouse.
Can't get the mouse on the laptop, John.
I do need a motion. Your discussion is supposed to sit there.
Saw it was there for a second.
Yeah, we had that the other day, we
Yeah.
lost the mouse for a while. Open it back up. Here's what. Never mind, sorry. I'm gonna close it, try to close it.
Now your mouse is working.
Okay. Maybe let's work. That's a tsunami there.
Still like a presentation or something. Close that again.
It worked the other day.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Again, Ron, if you will state your name and your position, please.
Okay, my name's Ronnie Kelly. I'm the Director of the Water Quality Control Department for the City of Cookeville. That's the water utility and the wastewater utility for the City of Cookeville. So what I'm here tonight is also requesting some American Rescue funds. Sort of give you a look at where we serve water, and my request is to do with water service. The City of Cookeville serves all of Putnam County except for Monterey Mountain, and also the surrounding areas. We serve probably 90,000 people in this region. So I'll give you a little history. Cookeville can't grow without water. This whole region can't grow without water. Started over here at the spring, at the Whitson Spring. After that, they drilled some wells into some concrete basins, put a little pump in and tried to feed the downtown area. That didn't work. So back in 1924, they found a water supply out on Anderson Spring, which is out by the old city lake, and built the first water treatment plant here, and it was rated at 700,000 gallons a day. If you've never been out to Anderson Spring, it's out there at the city lake. Walk up the trail there. It's still there, and there's still some old piping there that was piped down to
down to the lake. In '68, the drought came, lake dried up, city had to look for a supply of water. So for Cookeville to keep growing, city went down to Center Hill Reservoir, which was a good supply of water. They looked at other water sources here, but Center Hill was the best choice. So the city built a water treatment plant, 7.5 million gallons there in 1970. It ran a 30-inch water line to town and built the tank on Shoney's Hill that y'all have been talking about. In 1983, growth continued, double the capacity. In the mid-90s, we were talking about how are we going to grow, how do we keep water supplied to Cookeville, what have we got to do to make sure that keeps happening. So in the mid-90s, we looked to start to put it together in pieces, had to get the water to town. So in 93 through 2003, we ran another 30-inch line from Center Hill up to town, built another storage tank. That allowed us to get the water to Cookeville. We upgraded some lagoons down there where you backwash filters, cash flow these in 2005. How are we going to get the water up to the plant? We went through that piece of the puzzle. We spent $5 million on the intake, redid all the pumps, all the electrical to be able to double the plant size. Okay, we can get the water up to the plant. Got to get it from the plant to town through that 30-inch water line. So in 2012, we cash flowed another project of updating all of the pumps and the operations building there and the electrical there to be able to pump it to town. So we redid the operation building, the lab, the BACT lab we do all the bacteriological work for all of the surrounding utility districts. If you have a water line break, you have to go get BACT tested before you can get it in service. And plus you have to do 40 or so every month just to verify that your water's okay. So we redid all that, redid the electrical, redid all the pumps to get it to town, redid the building. So that was around 2012 in this location. So we were in good shape. 80% is for a trigger point for us to increase capacity. We started in about 2017. Notice we started growing more, using more water. So we started talking to an engineering group in 2019, negotiating with them, signed a contract with the engineering firm in 2019, applied for a loan with the State Revolving Loan Fund. That we had a project estimated at $17.5 million. That was the last piece of the puzzle was to build the treatment. We can get it up to the plant, we can get it out of the plant, we can get it to town. Now we needed to build the filters, clarifiers, and that sort of stuff. So that's where we are today. We're also looking at Viper Mountain. A lot of people know us at Whitaker Flat. We're at capacity there. We will not let anybody, we won't sell a meter on Whitaker Flat. We signed an engineering contract for that project, and we estimate that to be about $1 million project. But we're going to do that also while we're doing the projects. It's not included in the plant project, but it is another project that's going to be out in the county. So my request today, we applied for a loan with SRF based on the estimate at the time of $17.5 million. We opened bids on March 2nd. The bids came in at $25.4 million, and that included $1.5 million engineering fee. So we had a total project cost of $26.9 million, which left us a difference of $9 million. So my request was to the county to consider allocating some of your TDEC money, 1.7 from TDEC money, 1.65 from the ARP county money, which would be a total request from the county's portion was 3.3. That still leaves us a deficit of $6 million that we're going to have to either pull from our money, our TDEC money, our ARP money, or our reserves. I came up with that. I've been meeting with Mr. Porter. The county was allocated $15 million in ARP. My understanding, 4.5 was broadband allocated, $1 million for the health department, $1 million to all good, 1.6 for employee pay, which was a total of 8, left you 7.43 with the county. So our request was for 1.6 for that. That left you guys 5.7 ARP money left. The TDEC funds, you were allocated 4.8. I knew you'd allocated 1.8 to Martins Creek, 1.3 to Baxter, which left you 3.1, or left you with 1.78. And so we were going to request a 1.7 from that TDEC fund, but you've allocated, it appears tonight, $500,000 from that fund to the Monterey. So, just to close, we serve the whole county except for a little portion on Monterey Mountain. We think it's a good use of these funds. It serves all of the citizens of Putnam County except for that little area up on the mountain. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Neal.
I'm going to, I want to say kind of the same thing I said a while ago with regards to what we have already done with Baxter, Allgood, and now Monterey, and that is to allocate TDEC funds. And it's my opinion that we might need our ARP funds because the county is pretty big and we've got some pretty major water projects going on already, and I don't know what we're going to need coming down the pike, if you will. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion that we allocate the remaining TDEC funds of $1,221,577 to the city of Cookeville, with the city providing the match for the grant. Whatever that might be, I think it's what, 15%? 10, I don't know, whatever that may be. Something like that.
Well, yeah, we're the lower match, so yes, our lower match.
But my motion is going to be, and I think my math is right here. Mr. Moss helped me figure this out here a minute ago. So if I'm wrong, you can blame both of us. But that's going to be my motion, to allocate the remaining TDEC funds to the city of Cookeville for this project, and no ARP money. Thank you.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'm going to second it so we can open some discussion.
All right. We do have a motion and a second. Let me repeat the motion, then we'll start discussion, okay? And I'm sure Ronnie will take any questions that anybody might have. The motion is that we surrender the rest of our TDEC money, whatever it is, $1 million plus. The numbers you're welcome to get, and I'm sure the mayor's got them, to the city for this project. Now, let me look around. Does anybody have any questions as to clarify what the motion is first? All right, we'll open discussion, and according to my roster, Mr. Jordan, you're next. But we are speaking on the motion, remember, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, also for coming out here and addressing us. Now, I do understand that you mentioned that if we didn't approve any money this evening, that I believe the city water bills will be going up by about 7%, is what I understand.
Well, yeah, we're trying to make up the differential of that $9 million, this amount here. So if, just back of a napkin calculation, if we added that differential there, that $9 million into the loan, it means about $500,000 a year in P&I payment, principal and interest payment. So to generate that money, it would be about a 7% increase in the water bills across the board. It's just a rough ballpark.
I think your request is reasonable, because I also had that concern. I saw where you also mentioned that we actually had to turn some businesses away due to not having the expansion of, or the capacity needed on the water facility there. I'd like to amend the motion and still try to keep him as close as we can to the $3.35 million request. So I'd like to amend the motion that we do go to the ARP funds, and I guess my math, if it's correct, it'd be about $2.1 million, I believe it is, really close to So that would be my motion, or to amend the motion will be a $2.1 million request out of the ARP money also to complete this project.
I have a second. Let me answer it. His amendment is that we fill up the 3.3 that he's requested out of the ARP money.
Or at least get it pretty close.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion on that motion? So at this point, we're on the amendment. Remember, we have to vote on the amendment. The amendment is that we fund the request of the city using both the Cdbg money as well as the ARP money. So that's for the motion. So I open discussion. Mr. Bennett, Mr. Donadio.
Well, my comment or my question is not directly, but it has overture towards this because of the conversation that we had last week. Can you go back to the last slide, please?
This one?
Nope, the map.
Oh, the map.
Thank you. All right, so last week you and I discussed on the phone, I believe, we were talking about the other counties that are getting water from our source.
That's correct.
And I'd asked you if you had had a chance to go out to the other counties to see if they had, if they were going to be providing funds as well, so it doesn't just come down on Putnam County, because we have other counties that are also benefiting from this. Have you had an opportunity to do that?
Yes, I've talked to the mayor of White County. We serve O'Connor Utility District, which feeds the 111 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big growth area for them. So I've talked to him. He's requested, I'm going to bring him a proposal. I've talked to Randy Hetty, the mayor in Jackson County. We serve a big area in Jackson County also. So he's wants me to bring him a proposal also. So I'm preparing those proposals for them.
So how does that differential compare to the numbers we're looking at tonight? Like, what are you asking for or is that already worked into this?
Well, I'm not clear on your question.
If they're providing funds.
Oh. Yeah, if they're providing funds, how much are they going to kick in
Exactly.
to offset your? Well, I've still got to make up this $6 million. If you provided $3 million, I've still got to make up this $6 million. So, trying to feel how much can they give, so I'm going to have some conversations with them. I'd like to get, I would rather not be quoted, but I would like to get maybe $500,000 from each of those.
Okay, I understand. And again, that was just that conversation that you and I had. And I appreciate your candor on that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bennett.
County Mayor, if you would, when we first started talking about the ARP funds, we were trying to use a lot of that money for water to bring service to parts of the county that currently do not have service.
Yes, sir.
Because this is a one-time chunk of money. It's not coming out of our current tax rolls. So if we give a large chunk to Cookville to keep the current customers' rate low, we're not going to have money to extend lines into the unserved areas.
That's correct.
So that's what our choice is. Are we going to keep the rates lower for the current customers, or are we going to extend service to people that currently do not have water? It's trying to find that balance. I understand Ronnie's predicament there. You could always raise rates. I know that's going to be your last resort, but that is a way to cover your cost. But I think it's a one-time shot to extend water into these unserved areas. So I'm inclined not to go beyond the 1.2 out of the TDEC funds.
Ms. Adams.
I'm kind of bouncing off of that as well. Mayor Porter, do we have any idea how much we need for running these other water lines? We have no idea, right?
We did the 1.8 million to do Martin Creek. That just gets the main line down Martin Creek. Then you have all those side roads that come off of Martin Creek. Then we're looking at Calf Killer. Going to have a conversation with O'Connor, I guess it is, to look at the Calf Killer. And then you have a pretty large area between Allgood and Monterey that's not serviced by any water utility district. And in talking to Monterey, they might be interested, and they looked at several years ago of running a line between Allgood and Monterey to connect those two and then be able to service those on. But, no, we're not deep enough into ours yet to know how much those others are gonna cost, as of yet, and it'll probably be a few more months before we would.
I think it's significant to say that, the money we have left won't cover all the folks in our county that don't have water. If that's any, I think that statement's important for you to understand. Do you understand what I just said? Okay, Mr. Moss.
Mr. Kelly, when was the last price increase you had towards the cities for water?
Last price increase?
Uh-huh.
We did a price, increase, 18, we're in the middle of a 5-year increase in water prices. We did a 3-year increase in sewer. We've had two more increases to be implemented in water. One this May and, one in July for the utility district, and then one next year, and then that's it.
Okay, what is that increase going toward? Fixing this what you need, or is it just,
Oh, yeah, that was, when we do a cost of service, we put in the water plant expansion, but, the estimate we put in is a lot lower than the bids came in. So it's just trying to make up that difference.
Okay, let me see if I'm clear on this. So this increase is gonna be applied toward repairing and building this, system that you're talking about now?
Yep. The rate increase that was done back 3 or 4 years ago, we had planned for the water plant in that expansion, but the estimate was only around $16 million for the plant that was built into the rate increase. So to make up the difference of the $25 million that the project came in, it's trying to make up that $9 million.
Okay, so you got an increase in May and also in July or June?
Yes, we have 2 more rate increases built in.
Okay, that's going toward this year project?
It's going to the rate, the water plant was built in that rate increase, but not the full, $25 million that the bids came in at, if that makes sense.
You're still going to implement these 2 increases, and you still need this amount of money?
Yes, yes.
Correct?
Yeah, or we'll just have to raise the rates again to make up that $500,000 if we borrow the rest of the money. If we borrow the $9 million that's short, that generates about a $500,000 a year of principal and interest. So to generate that revenue, we estimate it's around a 7% increase. And that'll be after these increases are implemented. So in a couple of years, we would raise the rate, or recommend raising the rates again.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Yes, Mr. Kelly, you and I had a conversation as well, and there's a takeaway that I left with. This is going to enable you to increase your capacity by about what percent?
Well, I'll show you on the graph if I can get back to it. From beginning. Hey, Randy, let me get right. I think they should have started again, right? Yeah, it's a 50% capacity increase.
A 50% capacity increase.
Oh. Yeah, let me get to the graph. Yeah, so we're at a 15 million gallon a day capacity here.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently about 8 or 12, but we're at 80%. So jumping to 25 million gallons is a 50% increase in capacity at the current plant size.
A 50% capacity. And how long has it been since a major increase has been done like this?
83.
83.
Well, at the plant. We've built all the other pieces of the puzzle, the lines to town, the intake structures, the pumps at the plant. The treatment portion is 83.
Okay. Now, if you do this rate increase that you were talking about, are you going to also have to increase rates to everyone who buys third parties such as the utility districts and.
Yeah, the wholesale customers?
Yes.
Oh, yes, it would be to all parties.
So a rate increase doesn't just affect citizens of Cookeville, it also affects citizens of Baxter, the folks who buy water from Double Springs. It's gonna be an increase on 3/4 of the county.
Yeah, we have 7 wholesale customers, Baxter, all good, utility districts,
I mean, Baxter's water is already pretty high. I'm not sure how it is for the various utility districts. And I know it's a tough spot, because what do? We need to do both. We need to extend water lines out to these other customers, and this is something that also needs to be done, because City of Cookeville's water department also provides water for all the areas in the county that are growing by leaps and bounds, new subdivisions going in, so.
Folks, if I can, please, and all due respect, our motion is whether or not to approve $3 million. How they disperse or how their increases is the city's business, our business tonight. And again, I don't want to stymie debate, but I do want us to stay focused on what we're really voting on, which is, at this point, the amendment is to fund what he's requested, $3.35 million through both funds. So I ask and request, again, that we stay there about that, if we could, please.
Well, that's exactly what I was laying the background for, because there's been some conversation that we need to cut this back drastically to 1.7, et cetera, whatever's in the other fund. And I'm trying to lay the groundwork that this is actually an important project that's going to benefit 3/4 of the county, not just people who live inside the city of Cookeville.
They're going to be affected anyway, Jonathan. They've got $6 million beyond, if we give them 3, that they've got to fund some way.
That's
so
true.
The increase could still come, the percentage of how much it is, and that's the point I guess I'm trying to make, is our concern tonight is to help them with $3 million at this point, as long as we're in the amendment portion of this motion. So I really, please, respectfully, I think it's important we stay focused there if we possibly could.
I thought I was right on target there, but I'll be done.
Don't want to cut you off. If there is, if your discussion certainly is pertinent to our motion. Ms. Bradford.
Did you all get TDEC funds?
Yes.
How much did you get, and what'd you spend it on?
We haven't allocated it yet.
How much do you have?
I'm sort of waiting to see how much we're gonna get allocated before I, request allocations from our council. Cookeville received $4.1 million in, TDEC funding, and $10.2 in ARP funding.
And y'all still have that money, you haven't allocated it yet?
Haven't allocated it yet.
Okay. And I'm assuming y'all also have a good fund balance?
We have a good fund balance. We have to maintain a certain fund balance. And we, build rates. We try to cash flow lots of projects, and we are usually successful doing that.
Okay.
Projects like this, interest rates were low, sort of historically low. And so, we decided to apply for the State Revolving Loan Fund, which is at 1%.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sandlin.
Yeah, you know, we have to keep in mind that this money that, they're wanting is free money, or they wouldn't be here discussing it. If it was our money that we raised or our money that we earned, City of Cookeville wouldn't be coming here asking for our normal operation funds. They feel like it's an involvement because it was free money. And we helped Allgood, and then we helped Baxter, and then apparently we've helped Monterey. You know, I understand that our obligation, because county people live in these cities, and the cities live in our county. I would be comfortable with exhausting our TDEC funds, and I don't have the numbers, but, you know, it was like 2.1 or whatever was left, 1.2, I'm sorry. I would be comfortable exhausting our TDEC funds after we've given to Allgood, Baxter, Monterey, and to Cookeville, but I would be for leaving the other alone, because, as Mr. Kelly just said, they got money too, and we're not gonna go ask for that. So, that's, I feel like it's important. There's nothing more important than I-40 and TTU and our free water, our full water supply. There's no question about that. And we have to always balance between what does it cost to get it to 500 people versus rates for all. I understand that, but I would be comfortable just, let's finish out our TDEC funds and go on. So I would be against the amended motion.
All right, is there anybody who has not spoke that wants to speak? I have one person who has asked to re-speak, and I need to exhaust everybody who hasn't had an opportunity to speak. Is there anybody that meets that qualification? All right, Mr. Iwazen, Jordan?
Thank you. Yeah, just very briefly, just to kind of set the stage, we already have turned away business because of the plant, and we got to keep in mind that we are growing fast, and I think it's essential that we do this investment. We've invested in the other cities, and Cookeville is almost half of the county's population, and of course, a good chunk of the commissioners that represent the county are also from the city, so it's important to also keep that in mind, just how critical this project is, but also the investment that we can also help our citizens with inflation going up. If water rates do go up because of something that we didn't invest, that's definitely a very big concern. Of course, the rates may go up eventually, but even still, it's a concern that we have this money that's been given to us by the federal government, we can make this investment, so it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Ms. Dunn?
Just quickly, I was wanting to address what Jordan had just, what business have we lost due to the water plant? Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, Mr. Kelly has mentioned some business has been lost.
There's been a couple of high water users. We suggested they not locate here. I'm not gonna name names, but there were high water users. They would have taken all the capacity out of the plant.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I see no one else, so now it's time to make sure everybody understands where we are. And this can be easy, or it can be difficult. We have an amendment. Folks, what an amendment does is you're voting as to whether to put it on the original motion. That's all an amendment is. You're saying, yes, we want to include this onto the original motion. If that passes, that's what happened, and then we'll vote on the motion as amended. If this amendment fails, we go back to the original motion, and then we'll vote on that. Now, my question is that clear to everyone, or does it need further explanation? Yes, Mr. Bennett.
So the amended motion's gonna be going for 3.3 million. The original motion was for the 1.2 million, just in rough numbers.
The amendment is to answer your question, yes, that's exactly what it is. Our amendment was, we'll utilize the TDEC money as far as it goes, then go into the ARP money to fulfill the request of the city.
That's the amendment.
Does everybody understand that?
The amendment is the ARP money.
All right, we're on the amendment, folks, that's it. We're voting now on the amendment, and Mr. Neighbors, I'm going to ask to call a roll.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion of the ARP monies, vote yes. If you do not favor that motion of the addition, vote no. Everyone, please vote.
Screen.
One job.
You're slacking.
No, we've got,
I want a pay increase after tonight, I'm telling you.
We'll tell you.
I want a pay increase after tonight, dang. Good Lord. All right, Mr. Martin. Where'd he go? Oh, hand me his handset.
You want me to vote for him?
Have you asked to change yet? Guys, I want to make sure you know what you're voting. No means no amendment, okay? I'm sorry I didn't fill that in before, but we can still change it. No
You sure
means
can.
no amendment. If you vote yes, you're voting for the amendment, which is to add that money to, okay?
All right, all votes are in. Do anybody unsure? This is not gonna tell you how you voted until I hit tally. Everybody good? Here we go. Wow. For the record, since Mr. Martin was here, I abstained him, and I will do so for the balance of this meeting. All right. Mr. Chairman, you have 19 voting no, 1 abstain, 2 voting yes. The amendment fails.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So what that means is, we are now back to the original motion, and the original motion is made by Mr. Neal, was that we exhaust our TDEC money and give that to the city to apply toward, this project. Exhausting the funds in TDEC. It's 1 point something, not sure at this point, but we'll know. But that's what your motion is. Does everybody understand that? Okay? All right, Mr. Neighbors. Yes means you, obviously, you're voting for the motion. No means that you're not. Mr. Bennett.
Yes, just want to state my position on this. You're doing a water pump upgrade up on Pfeiffer Mountain.
That's correct.
That's going to be a little over $1 million.
Yes.
And that's servicing people out in the county, correct?
That's correct.
So I have no problem using the rest of the TDEC funds because we can look at it as it's helping people out in the county in that direction. And it's TDEC funds only, not ARP. So just to let you know, I'm in support of this.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Neal.
I want to thank Mr. Kelly for coming up here tonight and bringing his presentation. I know he's put a lot of work into this, but there again, I just want to make sure that we have in the amendment that they do pay the matching grant, that, or not the amendment, but in the original motion. I said that they would be responsible for the grant. I just want to make sure that we get that in there with the remaining funds. Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Neighbors, let's pull the plug.
Ooh, that sounded bad. All right, take your hand session if you favor the motion, the original motion now. Vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Again, I have abstained. Mr. Martin? Hang on. Mr. Chairman, I have 21 voting yes, 1 abstain, 2 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Neighbors, and good luck, Mr. Kelly, and we're glad to be a part of your project, very much so. All right, moving into the next item, which is to hear from the VFW, Post 6296 Commander Jimmy Loftus. Now, let me say this, if I can, before we start. I have, it looks like 6 names that wish to address and speak to this. So we welcome you all. However, remember, we don't need to duplicate the same arguments every time. We appreciate your positions and we want to hear them. But we also, again, due to time and the argument itself, if you would please limit to new arguments if those that want to speak. So, are we doing 3 minutes? So, Mr. Jimmy Loftus is our first one, but if you'll, in your name please and your position, I would like to limit them, if I could, to 3 minutes. Again, if you go beyond that, sir, this is important. I appreciate our veterans. Thanks for your service, and so please, you start if you would, and if you can, hold it to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, my name is Jim Loftus. I'm Commander of VFW Post 6296, as well as a member of the Vietnam Veterans Organization as well. I'm really here representing a group that we call the Putnam County Veterans Organization, which is similar to a board of directors responsible for the Veterans Building here on Spring Street. Let me get the rest of my guys up here real quick so we can get through this. Basically, I've talked to majority of you, and also sent a letter to each of you, so you know pretty well, I think, our proposal, and we look at this basically as a, if you will, almost a pet project of the mayor, and how this controversy came about. And most veterans organizations, we didn't know about this until about January. I understand you as a commission did approve pretty well this proposal of moving the veteran service officers, the VSOs, from the building down to the dollhouse, it's being called, 2 miles outside the city. Basically, we're concerned over abandoning the ship, if you will, and the veterans building there on Spring. What eventually happens to that building if we have no one, as the current VSOs are there, servicing our veterans. Just last week, I saw a vet come up, knock on the door. They were in training, it was locked, so they turned and left. We don't want that to continue to happen. We are really concerned, again, that vets know this location. They're familiar with it. We spent a good bit of money making it ADA accessible. You gave, I believe it was $14,000 a couple of years ago to make that happen. You've also spent money securing the building with bulletproof doors and access to the offices that are there. Whereas we move down to the new building, you're going to take up tremendous space from the museum that Glenn Jones really needs to vacate the basement there where Mr. Neighbors has that facility also. I did bring a chart. I hope you're aware of what you really approved. Down at that building, 1/3 of that first floor is going to be the veteran service officers. We need that space for the mannequins, for the other museum pieces that Glenn has, he wants to display, rather than taking up all of that space. The halls are probably going to be relegated to the basement, along with the other archives that are down there. So it just doesn't make sense of the design that we now have on this building. And I can address a couple other issues at the current building regarding Hipaa violation, and I'll hold that for Q&A. Meanwhile, I know that Steve Ogie here is commander of the American Legion Post 46, wants to make a comment in a statement.
Again, please state your name. Stephen Ogie, Commander, Post 46. I have a letter here that was written by retired Circuit Court John Maddox, who can't be here, but a good portion of what Jimmy had said is stated in here. So I won't read it, but I'll present the letter to you. But one of the biggest things too is that these VSOs, these veteran service organizations, these guys not only service Putnam County, but Livingston has a VSO, but they're only 2 days a week, and Sparta is only 2 days a week, where they know they come up here and make an appointment 5 days a week. So and by them staying at this place, it will negate a lot of confusion. They come up here for their appointment. Oh, we're not here. They're out there. By the time they get out there, their appointment's over. So it's going to be a major growing pain against them moving. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
No.
I do have a copy of the letter I'll present to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very kindly. Richard Buford? Okay. I'm sorry. It looks
Just
like a no.
One follow-up with Judge Maddox. His father was one of the original members in opening that building back in 1950, and they both of them served as state commanders of the American Legion.
Yes. His father, Jared Maddox, was the lieutenant governor at the time when the building was in design phase and to the dedication.
Hi, my name is Richard Buford. I see a lot of familiar faces here.
You'll note I'm not wearing a battalion cap tonight, and that's because I'm a member of 4 of our veterans organizations here in Putnam County. A lot of you will also know me as the Boys State Coordinator. In 3 weeks, we're going to be interviewing 30 boys to go to Boys State. This year will make the 60th year we've had American Legion Boys State at Tennessee Tech. And I want you to know we send more boys to Boys State from Putnam County than any county in the state. And as for our veterans, you know, I was here tonight and I heard us talk about our fairgrounds, making it accessible to a lot of people, then water. Now we're talking about blood. Blood of the men and women who've served our nation in time of war. I'm from this area. I went to Tennessee Tech, and I remember this wonderful building that we have our meetings and our VSO office. I want you to know I'm originally from Clay County. I have a father who's still living, he's a World War II veteran, and 3 brothers that served in the military. I'm the former adjutant for American Legion for this district, which represents 15 counties. And as Steve stated, most of these counties around here look at Cookeville as the hub of the Upper Cumberland. And many of our older veterans don't have smartphones, and they don't know how to navigate to find a new location. Now, I know some people say in this day and time that may be hard, but I have 206 members of American Legion Post 46, and I will tell you, many of them don't have email. And just a letter I send them in the mail or a phone call is the only communication we have. But I want you to know, 50 to 60% of the walk-in business for this VSO comes from people just knock on the door. During the pandemic, the last 2 years, many times, I would come to the parking lot and I'd see saddened veterans knocking on the door and couldn't get in. And luckily I'd be there and I could answer some of their questions and direct them to help. But I do want you to know, we have veterans that come from Tompkinsville, Kentucky, Albany, Kentucky, and other areas for help. And this building that's been here for 70 years, people in other towns say, well, you go to the square and you go 2 blocks down and there's the Veterans Building. So I firmly believe in no man left behind. And I'm quite concerned about the welfare of our remaining World War II vets, our Korean War vets, and our Vietnam vets, and making sure somebody will be there when they knock on the door. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. If I could, and we have one more speaker, the respect, I think, is in everyone's heart here that sits on this board for our veterans. I don't think there's a soul here that doesn't care about the people that represented and served our country. But the issue tonight, and I don't mean to be harsh, but the issue tonight is not about supporting the veterans. It's about a building, and it's about the occupancy of a certain building and where these people will be. So, again, I don't want the attitude to get out that we're against veterans. We're not. We are for doing the best we can for our veterans. And if that door is not being answered, or if it's not being received, that's a different problem as far as I'm concerned. And it needs to be addressed within itself. So, let me just say that, and hopefully, I'm sorry, is it Tracy? Okay. We'll recognize you, but please, again, remember, we're talking about just the occupancy of a building. We're not talking about the respect for our vets. We've got that, I promise you. Yes, sir. And again, please state your name.
My name is Tracy McKay. I'm with the Disabled Veterans of America. And I also operate within the whims of the American Legion, and we coincide to help all veterans. Now, I also travel the state of Tennessee. I'm on the executive board for the Disabled Veterans of America, District 4. And District 4 is Cookeville, Crossville, and Byrdstown. Now, I really want to thank you guys for setting the platform for you're not against veterans and such. That does abbreviate my, what I want to say. But the disabled veterans have sent quite a few people to this building, which is known as 90 East Spring Street. And that was, of course, they've described, it was built in 1950. There's a lot of issues going on with that building that need to be taken care of. We're all on budgets, we're nonprofit organizations, and we don't really, have a lot of money coming in. We all work together. They called for assistance for whether it's food, electric bills or what. We all work together. So I'm very proud to be a part of the disabled veterans as well as the American Legion. I look up to them. Their leadership is unprofound. So whatever you can do to help these veterans that are going to be disorientated, coming in, trying to find this building and what's happened, knocking on the doors, making those calls and such, it's very difficult. And I get calls for the American Legion and for the Veterans Affairs, and I have to, of course, send them over there. But this is going to be a little mess. It just is. And the disabled veterans really is working hard with the American Legion. So I want to ask you, in behalf of what we're all trying to do for veterans, to do the best you can to support us. That would be the American Legion and what they're trying to do. There's going to be a lot of displaced people that are elderly, that will not be able to really get to a computer and understand even an iPhone, how to get a hold of things. They're going to be very disorientated. So I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your service and for your sacrifices for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I've got two more. Do they still want to speak? I've got a red to Mary. Do you want to speak, and do you have something new to add to the conversation, sir?
My name is Red Demery. I'm the president of Chapter 741, Vietnam Veterans of America. I fought for this country, and I thought I was coming down here to fight for this building, but I see the issue is moving the service officers out of the building. And I can't say I'm for that, because of the fact this is a veterans building, and everybody knows it, and you expect to go to the veterans building to find a veteran service officer. I don't know how it would work moving them out of town like that, I think we could rehab the top part of that building so we could make Hipaa regulations, I think it'd be a lot cheaper doing that than building a building just for them. But that's up to the county how they feel, but that's how I feel. I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Thank you, sir. Pat Dudney? Please step to the mic. We need this for our minutes, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. State your name for us.
My name is Patrick Dudney, and I am also Vice President of Vietnam Veterans of America. The issues that I brought, that I was wanting to discuss have been discussed, so thank you.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate all of you being here. That's who everybody I have on the list. Was there somebody else from the veterans group that wanted to address this issue and had some new ideas? Again, I want everybody that wants to speak to speak. Jim, do you have some closing?
Just closing remarks, yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
sir.
I do have maps, diagrams, if everybody wants a copy of that. I brought those. One issue that has not been addressed, sir, if I might take a minute, that's regarding the Hipaa violations in the current location. That can be easily overcome by two options. There's actually a bathroom between the two current veteran service officers that is 11 by 8, can be converted, it seems to me, to an office. Therefore, you got a door and you got a hallway between the two VSOs, and you eliminate the Hipaa violation. You could also use the other office that some of you may remember Sterling McKinless had when you enter that building to the right. That's currently only being used for storage, and it's larger than the others. I just add again, I feel like this project has really just been discussed with the VSOs, and they're going to do whatever their general tells them to do. And we as veterans were not really consulted until recently, but we have 6 of those 7 organizations that are members of the PCVO that have signed a petition opposing this move of the Veteran Service Officers down to the dollhouse, as referred to. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman, and we respect all the commissioners that are here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loftus. We appreciate it. And let me say thanks to all of you. And what I guess at this point I need to do for the commission is to state the facts, okay, as they exist. That's all I want to do. I'm not taking a position, but I think it's important, folks, that we understand. We did make a decision about this. You remember, I don't remember the date, but we have already made a decision as it related to this to move those organizations down there. We appropriated money. In fact, we got some money from the tornado and some other ideas that we were going to rebuild that place, that building that's on that site. Now, to address the size and the building itself, presently, the veteran service officers have 2,500 square feet. Am I right, Mr. Mayor?
The Veterans Museum has about 2,375 square feet. Mark, y'all got maybe 500 or 600? Yeah, so we're basically doubling the space. The new building will be 6,178 square feet. The old building where Glenn is at with the museum, plus what they've got, is about 3,000 square foot.
So we are increasing size. Office space will be good. A separation of the veterans officers will be adequate for protection of privacy. And parking will be adequate, more than adequate for what we believe is going to take place. So that's the facts. Now, it's been done, and the only way that it will be changed is if we receive a motion tonight and a second and we vote on it. Because right now there is no movement necessary unless you wish for it to be. That's where the county commission stands. Am I clear? Does everybody understand what I just said? Now, I'm not stymieing a motion. What I am is telling you it's going to require one for us to make the change. There is no motion. The fact is, we have a bigger building. That's what I wanted to emphasize. We have already made a decision. I mean we, meaning the county commission. We voted on it. The money has been appropriated. The design has been established, and there probably will be some tweeting, but the sizes are in place as far as what everybody's getting. Now, having said that, again, we've done that. That's already done, so it's going to require, and I told our veterans, a rescission of a motion we've done in the past. That's not to say it can't be done. It can be done, but it's got to be done in order for us to change what we've already done. I hope that makes sense. So, I know Mr. Donadio, a 20-year veteran, by the way.
24, but that's okay.
24-year veteran of the Navy. Please, we welcome your comments.
Before I move with anything further on this, I'd like to hear from the veteran service officers themselves on this issue. And I understand that they're going to do what they're told to do because we're soldiers now, soldiers, airmen, Marines, that kind of thing. But I need to know what your thoughts are on the impact to our veterans if we continue with this movement, knowing that when we made this decision, there wasn't a whole lot of consultation made with the veterans groups that are in that building right now. To me, things have changed. So I need to hear from you. I need your opinion on this.
Please announce your name, please, and your position, Mark.
All right. Mark Harris, Putnam County Veteran Service Office. This was first introduced to the PCVO in November of 2017. I initially asked them to start considering if we get into a new building or doing something with the existing building because the space that we're in right now is not conducive in operations. If I've got to walk through Mike's office when I bring somebody in, then I'm violating their privacy at that time, and I've got to walk back through it when I take my veteran or their family member out of the office. On top of that, into the bay itself. When you're on the telephone or if he's talking, you can hear it in the bay. We have an issue when we rent the building out and we have somebody in the bay. As we're conducting business, they can hear that also. So there's really a big issue there. It's not laid out, being a 70-year-old building to function in the way that we're doing. Again, in 2018, the issue was brought up again during the PCVO meetings. Most of the members here weren't on the PCVO board at that time, but the representative had the information to share with each of the service organizations that we were looking at some form of change. I was invited by the outpatient clinic, community-based outpatient clinic on Willow. They were very interested in us moving there. And they even incorporated us in trying to do some floor designs at that time so we could be a part of the VA and provide the service there. I brought that to Mr. Porter, let him know about that. He wanted me to hold off on that at that point because there was, with the Patent Doll House and with that on the table, what that would do for us. So it's not a new issue. It's something that's been discussed in the past. And it's just now that we're at that point to where we have a need. We have a need to where there's separation to where when I bring a veteran in or a family member, I'm not trapping through somebody else's office. I'm not having to stop a telephone call because I'm traversing through the office also. So this plan that we have, the floor plan that we have, it more than satisfies the needs that we need, and also includes the expansion for another person because we need somebody that can answer the phones, that can, when somebody walks in for something like today, somebody just needed a form and he has to wait because we've got appointments. It also gives us a conference room because we're doing appeals now. We didn't used to have to do appeals, so we're doing video conferencings with judges in Washington, D.C. So we've got an area now that's going to help, that's going to be more conducive, so that way when I'm on a video conference with a judge, they're not hearing it in his office.
So a simple question, I'm sorry, Mr. Donadio, simple question is, you do want to move to the new facility?
Simple answer is yes.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead. Are you through? Okay, folks, I don't see anyone else who wants to address. Is there anybody else who wants to speak to the issue?
I'd like to speak.
Okay. Since I heard you before I saw Sam.
I just want to ask, this new facility, it's on the same road that we're on right now, am I right?
Correct.
We are in the city limits, am I right?
Correct.
Where we're going. Can we not put up some signs that say, we have moved, this is where we're at? We don't need to go backwards. I've been in that office. I know what that office is like up there. And I told Mr. Loftus, if you want an issue, I mean, these guys have helped me a lot, but if you want yourself scared to death, if you've experienced any kind of incident in the military, you be sitting in Mark's office or in Mike's office. It's loud, it's noisy. You've got patrol cars, ambulance running up and down the road. And the worst is when the fire department comes out of there blowing on that air horn. I mean, I about jumped under the desk up there one day when that thing came out. And it's just not it's just not conducive to what we need, and that's where they're at now. And I think the mayor has agreed that this building is not just going to deteriorate or anything. We have the honor guard up there that we have a use. We are still going to be utilizing that building. Am I right, Mayor? There's still going to be some use for the county with that building. So, and I've talked to Mark and I've talked to Mike personally, and I don't think that anybody has twisted their arm and told them that they have to try to sell this, because I think they would have been candid with me if that'd been the case. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sandlin?
Well, I'll be brief, but I'm confused about this because the county doesn't own the Veterans Building, but the county hires 2 employees to be veterans officers. The county mayor and those people have worked to get new facilities, and as Jimmy said, it's, the current building's on Spring Street and the new building's on Spring Street. It couldn't be hard to put up a sign that says, go there. We're not cutting anything. We're not gonna cut the use of the building out that we don't own. We're not cutting services to our veterans. We're enhancing it. I just don't understand even the request for a motion on this. So if there is no motion, then we don't vote on anything and we go home.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Let me say, and I don't want to prolong it either, but let me say two things, I guess. There is a problem, and the service officers recognize it as well as anybody, as far as being able to get to them. If how many did you see today? 30 folks?
We probably had 8 folks that was scheduled appointments. We had about 5 that were walk-ins, and I got 52 phone messages.
So the point is that they're busy. They're busy. And so the solution and a problem is definitely exists of being able to get to them. Mr. Porter and I, just in conversation as it related to this, have discussed that. And I think come budget time, if I'm not mistaken, and I am on the budget committee, we're going to address that because it needs correcting. And whatever the case may be as it relates to putting a receptionist down there for all the groups, because the museum's not open every day, you know, and so the archives isn't open every day. So I'm satisfied there are people from all those groups that are moving down there that would like to talk to somebody, or would like to know when it's open, or when they can make an appointment. So again, the county commission has to approve those changes, but let me just say they've been discussed and they need correcting. This will not do that. We aren't adding any people right now. It'll still be the same 2 people occupying 2 offices and trying to cover and see as many people as they can. I respect you guys. I walked into the veterans the other day to get some information myself to the office. Mike was there. He was with a veteran. And the first thing the veteran said to me was, "Can I pray for you?" He didn't know me from Adam, but his heart was with God, and he reached out to me, not even knowing what my business. Let me tell you something. That's a veteran. That was a veteran who felt his service, and so he did. He prayed for me, and I appreciated it. I need it more than anybody. All right, folks. Again, I'm sorry. Is there anything else? Gentlemen, we respect you. There is no motion, so it will remain as it is. Anything else? Any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to show you one thing, if I can get this computer to come back up. Be very, very brief, but I want to keep you in the... Can you switch it back over, Wayne, for me, please?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Here we go. As I talked to you back a few months ago, we're looking at redoing the Veterans Memorial Wall that's at the courthouse. Mark and Mike and the veterans organizations have been looking at it. What we came up with is the existing wall is over here on the corner of Spring and Jefferson, which we talked about trying to fix a concrete area where people are not out on the sidewalk close to traffic trying to look at the wall. When we got into looking and doing that, all these big trees here, roots are growing down into that area. It's a drainage problem. It's a problem trying to get the gas line for the Eternal Flame to. So what we've decided is to move the wall here on this spot, which is on Spring Street. It's on the front part next to the American flags. and move it there instead of back over trying to redo this area. That allows us to make a nice area there with the Veterans Wall. There'll be two sides to the wall. The new Eternal Flame that's being donated into it will be there. We'll fix a nice concrete area there with benches for folks to sit, and it'll be part of the whole area there on the Spring Street side of the courthouse where we normally hold our events. That'll allow us to have a lot more people. So I brought that to y'all earlier. I just wanted to tell you about the change and make sure you knew when you started seeing things going on in front of the courthouse, you knew what it was.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, I was going to ask you, when do you expect to do that?
We're hoping to have it finished before Memorial Day so we can dedicate it at the Memorial Day ceremony.
Folks, we stand adjourned.